So if you're looking for a neighborhood here in the city of Atlanta that has a neighborhood feel, has some walkability, some restaurants, and most of the homes aren't going to cost you over $1 million, and you like historical charm, well, one neighborhood you should look into is the neighborhood of Grant Park, and that is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to walk around this neighborhood and show you just as much as I can about what this neighborhood has to offer. So stay tuned. We're talking all about living in Grant Park right now. Hey guys, my name is Molly and welcome back to my channel where I talk all things living here in the city of Atlanta and surrounding areas. And hey, if you are looking to make a move here in the Atlanta area, reach out to me. Don't be shy. All my contact information is down below. I'm here to help you out. But we're going to be talking about Grant Park today. I have done a vlog tour of Grant Park before, but it's been a couple of years and prices have changed. So just want to give you an updated, fresh version of this neighborhood. Now let me put this up on a map so you can see exactly where Grant Park is. And this is a pretty big neighborhood in relation to all of the other neighborhoods here in the Atlanta area, definitely in the in-town Atlanta market. But you can see it's pretty centrally located. In fact, getting to the airport, that's only a 15-minute commute. Getting over to the downtown area, probably 7 to 10 minutes. Midtown, about 15 minutes. And then Buckhead, probably 25 to 30 minutes, depending on the traffic. It could take you a little bit more if you're driving through those peak hour times. Okay, so now that you know where Grant Park is at, I just thought I would work my way from the north end of the neighborhood to the southern end and kind of interweave through some of the streets, show you some homes, show you what the streets are like, some destinations that you can go to. And speaking of destinations, my first stop is right here in the Oakland Cemetery. This is a very historic, popular cemetery to come and visit. I definitely encourage you to take a tour of it. They do even like night tours, especially around Halloween. That can be a lot of fun. But there's some very notable people that have been buried here, including Margaret Mitchell, Bobby Jones, a lot of Atlanta mayors, and more recently, Kenny Rogers. So cool cemetery to walk around in. They upkeep it really, really nicely. It kind of reminds me of some of those New Orleans cemeteries. But right across the street, this is right along Memorial Avenue, and you're going to find some places to eat. And so if you're looking for places to eat in Grant Park, there are definitely a little pockets here on the northern end and kind of in the middle, and then on the southern end. I'll show you the ones there on the southern end later in this video, so stay tuned for that. But right across the street you have 6 Feet Under. It's a seafood place, a very fitting name. There's another place right next to it, and then my favorite breakfast spot, Ria's Bluebird, is right there. So if you're looking for a good breakfast brunch spot, some good pancakes, go to Ria's Bluebird. There used to be a Tin Lizzie's right next door. It was a Mexican restaurant that shut down, so bummer that is not there anymore. What you'll also find along Memorial Avenue, man, is it just changed a ton. Memorial Avenue is now full of new apartment buildings, especially as you work your way east, getting closer to the Beltline area. Man, there are a ton going up there. So this area has definitely changed a lot. So I'm going to keep on walking down here off of Cherokee Avenue and Memorial and get more into the Grant Park neighborhood. Okay, so I just crossed over I-20, and that is one thing about Grant Park. If you are commuting for work and you need quick highway access, you're right there by I-20. Now, if you consider a house that is right up against I-20, yes, it is noisy. I'm not gonna lie about that. But usually those homes will sell at a little bit of a discount. But now I am coming up on another little small enclave of restaurants. There is a pizza joint and there is Dakota Blue, just kind of think of it like bar fare, sandwiches, wraps, that kind of thing. This is right off of Cherokee and Glenwood Avenue. And then just a block away is we're going to hit the park, which is what I'll talk about next. But one thing I should point out, I'm just seeing these bikes here and I've been seeing some bikers go by. There's some actually pretty good dedicated bike lanes here in the Grant Park area, from the Grant Park leading all the way up over to Memorial Avenue. So if you're a biker, there's definitely some bike lanes to be had. I wouldn't say that's on every street, but on some of these main roads, you can definitely commute with your bike. Okay, so now I'm walking here on the perimeter of the actual Grant Park. This is a 131-acre park. It is Atlanta's oldest park here in the city, so that's pretty cool. They actually just wrapped up their annual festival. It's called the Grant Park Summer Shade Festival. So that's usually at the very end of August. It's usually hot, but there are a lot of trees that you can sit under and cool off a little bit. And I'm just walking along Cherokee Avenue. This is one of the roads that faces the park. So if you're wanting like front-facing park views, Cherokee Avenue is a street that you want to look for to find a house that faces that, but they don't come up very often, and they're usually selling a little bit of a premium because you get this beautiful park as your front yards. One thing that I love about Grant Park is that you have this park here basically in the center of this neighborhood, so it's easy to access from any part of the neighborhood. And there's a lot of amenities in here. There is a public swimming pool, there are tennis courts, there's basketball courts. The Atlanta Zoo is here, and that's always a popular stop for families to come and bring their kiddos. You got summer camps there. I've taken my kids to the zoo several times, so a lot to do here. Now, they used to have a farmer's market that was hosted here in the Grant Park, but it has changed. It's moved over to kind of where the beacon is. Stay tuned for that later on in this video. I'll show you that area. But it's a great farmer's market if you're into that. But this is also just a lovely place to take a jog around or a walk around. So you can see that this can be a popular place to live because you have this accessibility right here. And if you haven't noticed already, I haven't touched on this yet, but Grant Park is full of a lot of historical bungalows, Victorian style homes. So if you are into historic charm, you can definitely find tons of homes here with a lot of that charm and character. I'll touch more on that here in a little bit, but let's walk around a little bit of the Grant Park area. Lovely park, right? I mean, you can definitely get some exercise in this park. I've definitely already gotten a lot of steps just getting the footage of this park. But one thing I wanted to note was this building right here. I forgot how many years ago they've built it. It was probably, I feel like four or 5 years ago. And you know, the thought was that there would be some kind of commercial space in there and they would do concerts on the lawn, that kind of thing. There is a big parking deck underneath, and it's actually sat vacant for several years, which is kind of a bummer. But I think they are now finally filling that void space with Savvy Provisions, which is kind of popping up all over Atlanta. It's just like a little market where you can grab bites to eat, wine, maybe some groceries and that kind of thing. So I think that's a pretty good vendor for this space. I was kind of hoping for some like little food hall or something, but Savvy Provisions will do. If you live here in Grant Park, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like the idea of Savvy Provisions there? Did you hope for something else? Anyway, okay, I'm gonna head to my car and then we're gonna walk a couple streets here, just typical streets here in the Grant Park area, and we'll talk a little bit about the homes that you're gonna find in this neighborhood. Okay, so I'm just walking down a typical street in the Grant Park neighborhood, and a lot of these streets are just lined with the cutest Victorian style bungalows. So if that is something you're into, you can definitely find that here in the Grant Park area. And I would say there is a range of these bungalows that have been beautifully renovated and maintaining that historical charm. There are ones that are definitely still fixer-uppers, but let me give you a breakdown of the price points here in the Grant Park area. Now, the average price for a single-family home in Grant Park is $675,000. Now, if you're wanting a 4-bedroom home, you're probably going to be paying more in that low 800 to upper 900K range. And there's definitely been some more homes popping up in this neighborhood over that $1 million mark, but they're going to be your giant 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom homes. Definitely some of those large Victorian homes. I've been kind of popping a couple of pics of some of those here and there in this video. So those are going to definitely cost you a little bit more. So whether you're looking for a small little bungalow or something bigger, you can certainly find a mixture here, but most of these homes are going to be older, okay? So if you're not ready for old home maintenance, then you may not want to be looking in the Grant Park area. But there are some newer construction homes in this neighborhood as well. I'll try to show a couple of those later here in my example. But one other thing I want to tell you about here is some of these streets, the sidewalks are not the best because this is an old neighborhood. So, you know, if you're walking around with grandma and grandpa, they don't have the best balance. You may not want to be having them walk on some of these sidewalks because they are a little treacherous. Now, if you don't really want a single family home, there are some townhomes in this neighborhood. A townhome is going to probably cost you on average $538,000, and there are some condo options. There's some older condo options which will probably be in that $200 to $300K, but on average you're going to pay $471 because there are some spots where they've put in some new construction condos. More on that later, but let me keep on walking and then I'll talk about the schools. Some other things to note about living here in the Grant Park neighborhood is that, you know, a lot of these homes, they're going to be scrunched in close together. Like this is a good example right behind me. You got a house right here, a house right there. So you're very close to your neighbors, and I would say you're not going to have huge yards. Some will have bigger yards than others, but if you're seeking big, large lots, you may not find that here in the Grant Park area. Also, certain streets don't have off-street parking, so if you are out shopping for homes in the Grant Park area, there are a couple streets where there's just no off-street parking and you're parking your car in the street. But most will have some kind of alleyway that you can park your car in, or a parking pad, that kind of thing. But you're not going to usually find garages, but that's kind of, you know, par for the course when you're living in the in-town area. But check out this cool Victorian coming up right here on my left. Okay, I want to talk about a couple more things before I talk about the schools. And one thing you're also going to notice if you're driving around in the Grant Park area, there is like a church on every corner. So church here, there's a church right behind me here. And then across the street, you've got the cutest little coffee shop. This is Grant Park Coffee. I believe they used to be located right across from the zoo, but they have changed locations and now that's where they are located. Now up the hill, I will talk about the schools, and I'm coming up on a very popular school. This is the Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School. This is a lottery school, so you do have to basically play the lottery to get your kid into the school. So not everyone gets in. I know it's a very highly popular school to get into, but if you want to know the public schools that are zoned to this neighborhood, that would include at Parkside Elementary. There's Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School, which is right in this neighborhood. And then there's also the Maynard Jackson High School, which is kind of like on the edge of this neighborhood and over in Glenwood Park. So there's your schools, and I would say the rankings online show them pretty good, but obviously do your research, because what's important to you in a school may be different than what is important to me in a school. Okay, for one home example, this is right behind me. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just under 2,000 square feet, like 1,700-ish. This sold for $697,000, and I would say it's renovated. It has sectioned off rooms. It's not going to have, that open layout that a lot of people like. There's a very little yard, but this is one thing, I want to set your expectations on when you are looking for homes in the Grant Park area. Yes, when you're driving down the streets, the homes look lovely, but just remember, these are old 1920, 1930 homes, and a lot of them have quirky layouts. So if you're wanting that big open floor plan, you may not get that unless it's been renovated down to the studs and adjusted. But I can find some adorable homes in this neighborhood with a lot of charm. Now, another thing is sometimes storage is lacking and closets are small, but one thing that makes up for it, a lot of these homes have high ceilings. I don't know what it is, but back in those days, they believed in high ceilings, which I love. They just didn't like big closets. Okay, I want to show you a quick shot of the Ormond Grant Park. This is kind of right on the edge of the Grant Park neighborhood, right before it hits into Summerhill. But cute little park, some nice playground equipment for the kiddos. I've seen some birthday parties here. I've definitely brought my kiddos here. But as I walk over to some new construction, I'm going to show you some examples of that, because if you're not into the old historic charm, you just want something new that's a little bit easier on the maintenance, then there is definitely some of that. So I'll go and show you a couple examples of that. But as I am walking, I thought I'd go over a quick, pros and cons of living in the Grant Park neighborhood. I would say pros for sure is Grant Park, you're going to get a lot of amenities. You've got a zoo in your neighborhood, for goodness sakes, that's pretty cool. And of course, the whole Grant Park area with the pool, playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, that kind of thing. And I haven't talked about this yet. I'll talk more a little bit on it later, but the Beltline does run along the edge of this neighborhood, so that's also pretty amazing. Also, I just love that it has a neighborhood feel. Definitely tons of families that live here. I see strollers parked on all of these porches. So if you are seeking kind of that neighborhood feel, you definitely can get that. Very family friendly. I've gotten some phone calls from people working at Delta that want to live, close to the airport but have a neighborhood feel. And I think Grant Park is a good example of that, where you can be, 15 minutes away from the airport for work, but you can come back, after a long day of flying and have that sweet neighborhood right at your fingertips. Another pro would be, of course, it's very, very walkable. I mean, it never gets old walking around this neighborhood. There is just so much to look at. Okay, on the con side, I would say traffic around here can be a little bad. Not in like a super congested way, but if you're trying to get out of Grant Park up to the highway and you live on the southern part of Grant Park trying to get up north, you know, there's a couple of main roads. You got Hill, you got Boulevard, and those are busy roads and they can back up at those peak times. Another con of living in this neighborhood, this is if you are living in an old home, is that you just are going to have to deal with old home maintenance and care, which cannot be the best thing, but you know, the trade-off is you get all the charm, and just like the local neighborhood area, it's really awesome. But you know, there is a cost to home maintenance. Okay, final con, you know, I had to think of like 3, of course, and I would say another one would be limited parking. While there is a side street parking, you will feel a lot of cars on the streets because, you know, a lot of these driveways, if the home does have a driveway, you're not going to be able to park a ton of cars in that driveway. So there you go. There's my pros and cons list of Grant Park. By the way, you may have noticed that there are these yellow house number markers on all the homes. You can acquire and get one of these through the neighborhood association if the home doesn't already have one when you buy one. But it's just another great way to show, you know, neighborhood spirit and everyone coming together. So I love that about this neighborhood. Now, fair warning, if you start to see me sweat a lot, it is about 90 degrees out. So rather on the hot side. If you're wanting to know what that is in Celsius, well, I don't really know, but I would say a billion. Okay, for an example of some new construction, this is kind of a little cluster community that they have built here. And there's a 4-bedroom home here listed for sale currently at $1.13 million. And there's a 3-bedroom listed around $899,000. Square footage anywhere from 2,000 up to 2,700 depending on how many bedrooms you have. But you can see there's a couple that have already been completed and one currently for sale and another one around the corner. Now, one thing I will note is, one, you do get a garage, which is a plus because that is pretty rare around here in the Grant Park area. But these particular homes, they are right across the street from some low-income subsidized housing. So depending on how you feel about that, that's just something I wanted to point out. I'm also chuckling here because there is the Parkside Elementary is just around the corner from here, and they must have had a fire drill because all the kids are lined out here chanting and that kind of thing. So yes, fire drills happen here. But also this area is really close to one of the 2 grocery stores that's really been a game changer for the Grant Park area, because many years ago there used to not be grocery stores even close in the Grant Park area, but now there are 2. There is the Kroger here that is located kind of on the edge of Grant Park and Glenwood Park, and there's also now a Publix that is opened up in Summerhill, so that is an easy jaunt to get to as well. But before then, there were no grocery stores close to here. Now for Target, you do have to drive a little ways. Your closest destination there would probably be over in the Edgewood Shopping Center, so you still have to travel a little bit further to get to a Target. I don't even know where the closest Walmart is off the top of my head, but there you go. There's your grocery store options in case you are wondering. Now, if you're wanting a new construction townhomes, here are the latest that are right behind me. These are called 12 on Burn because there are 12 units and they are on Burn Street. So they've got 6 units kind of up, and it looks like they still have some interior work to get done, but these are going to be very modern. So if you like kind of that modern clean line look and you like a rooftop view, you can get that in these. So these are going to run you anywhere from like around $840,000 up to $900,000, and they will range anywhere from 2,300 to 2,500 square feet. Now, if you're wondering kind of what is right around here, if you're thinking about it, and by the way, if you want more information on these, thinking about maybe buying one, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Just contact me. All my contact information is down below. But yeah, so what is around here? So on this corner, you've got the Boys and Girls Club, and then kind of around the corner, you're going to run into the back part of the Maynard Jackson High School, which has all of the baseball fields, football field, tennis courts, that kind of thing. So that's what you're going to find on the other end of this block. And right down this street and around the corner is a large apartment complex called Argo. So that is one other thing that is right here by these townhomes. But if you just go up this street, probably 2 or 3 blocks, you're going to hit the Beltline. And if you take a left, just a couple more blocks away, you're going to hit Glenwood Park, where you can grab, Chick-fil-A, the Kroger, Jenny's Ice Cream, a couple different restaurants right there. Now, if those new construction townhomes were a little too expensive for you, there are other options. I'm here at one of them. This is called the Enclave at Grant Park. And who knew that when these were built in 2005, they were going to run right up along the future Beltline. And in fact, they are working on the Beltline right over on the edge of this neighborhood as we speak. They're actually building a bridge and an overpass. So very exciting for this neighborhood. Now, what this will cost you. So for a 1,400 square foot unit, you're going to be paying more like $470,000. But if you are getting something a little larger in that 2,300 square foot range, you're going to be paying into like that mid 500K price range. So there you go. That's just one example of some townhomes. These are going to be a little bit older, maybe a little bit more dated, but something that is not quite, $900,000. But literally, if you can, believe it or not, right over this fence is where that new Beltline is going to be at. So in terms of the Beltline, now I mentioned it a little bit before, but let me expand on where we're at with construction of the Beltline coming through the Grant Park area. So they're working on a couple different phases, and the phase that's going kind of closer to the Ormwood Park area around this eastern section of the Grant Park area, that's slated to be done sometime in 2025. Now, portions that are closer running over into the Summerhill area on the southern side of Grant Park area, that's looking to be early 2026. So we're not quite there, but we are getting close. Now I'm over at the Beacon. This opened up in 2018. This is in the southernmost part of the Grant Park neighborhood. It was really exciting when it opened because Grant Park just needed some other destinations to go to, and this was definitely a good addition. There's a coffee shop, there's some restaurants. If you're feeling like tacos and margaritas, go to Patria Cocina. Now you might be hearing some hammering behind me. Well, they are, looks like, doing some major renovations, so I'm not for sure what's going to go on there, but there's a couple of breweries here. There used to be a cool, fun place called Pin and Proper that has closed down. And I will say, I was walking around here just now. I'm a little disappointed because a lot of things have shut down. There used to be like a cookie shop and like a place called Baker Dude. All of that has kind of closed down. It's a little bit more limited right now. I hope maybe once the Beltline opens up over here that it will change things around a little bit, but there's still a few places to grab a bite and eat. Now, I've had a couple of people ask about living down here because there are some newer construction condos right here. And while they are great and they are new, people want to know like how walkable is it? Well, it will be great because the Beltline is like literally right next to this building called the Pratt Stacks. So once that gets done, you can connect over into Glenwood Park, not too far away, or you can go the other way into Peoplestown and kind of into the Summerhill neighborhood. But if you're wanting to get to like the MARTA station, well, the MARTA station is 2 miles away, so that's not really walkable. I do feel like you're a little removed back here, not much else commercial-wise except for what you're seeing right here now. So let me walk around the Beacon real quick so you can kind of see what that looks like, and then we'll talk about what it costs to live in one of these newer condos that is built right here. Okay, so that is the Beacon in a nutshell, and then right across the street are these condo buildings that I was telling you about. So let's talk about the older buildings first. These are called the Pratt Stacks. They are selling anywhere from $650 to the low 700s, and they live kind of like a townhome because they are 2 levels, but they are essentially a condo, but you do get a garage. The HOA is around that mid 300 price range per month. Now there are really no amenities. There's not a pool or anything like that, but you do have the Beltline that is right next door to your house, so that is pretty cool. Now the other option are these newer condos. These are called Grant Place. These are going to be in the 470 to mid 500K price range, and the HOA on these are around $250 a month. Now the difference between these are all built by the same builder, but all the condos here will be on 1 level. So you have 1 level living versus the Pratt Stacks, you've got 2 level living. I can remember when the Pratt Stacks were first going up and they were selling right around in the 500, 550K price range, and the values have definitely gone up from there. Now again, like I said, there is the Grant Park Farmers Market, which is right next door, so that's something fun that you can go to on Sunday mornings. And I should mention, the Beacon looked pretty dead, and a lot of these places are closed on Mondays. The coffee shop, the restaurants, the brewery, now they're open at like 5 p.m. So, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. But I'm going to finish this video out by walking up and just showing you how close you are to the Beltline from these Pratt Stacks. And I am going to head that way right now. Okay, so now I am on the south side Beltline Trail. You can see behind me that it is still unpaved. Like I said, this portion will probably get done more like in 2026. And by the way, if you want to know more about the Beltline, I have several videos about the Beltline on my YouTube channel. In fact, one of my videos, I start right here and I talk about the West Side Trail. So very fun to ride along this gravel section and into the west side of town. But you guys, that concludes my tour of the Grant Park neighborhood. What did you think? If you've got questions or you're thinking about making a move, whether that's tomorrow or next year, and you want further help with your home search, or don't be shy, just reach out to me. We can schedule a time to chat and talk about what you're looking for, what neighborhoods might fit your lifestyle and your budget. But you guys, thanks for hanging with me on this hot day. It is time for me to go grab something to eat and definitely a lot of water. So thanks for joining me. If you see me out in the wild, make sure you say hello. I would love to say hi, and thank you for watching. I am very appreciative of all of you. And until next time, you guys, I'll see you around the neighborhood.